Whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to poverty will be cursed. My husband and I just returned from a very transformative missions trip to Pakistan. We found out that in Pakistan, there are 22,000 brick kilns. In India, which is right next door, has over 100,000 brick kilns. Millions of people are enslaved today. So they're spending hours and hours in the scorching heat. We're breaking the cycle. We got to see over 100 families freed. That was almost like 700 people free from brickyard slavery. Just to see that image of how he scooped him up and lovingly carried him over to where he needed to go reminded me of how the Lord is for us, right? He scoops us up when we are weak. He scoops us up when we are in need and takes us to where we need to be to get us on the right side of the track.
You're listening to the Visibly Fit podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a natural path fitness expert and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Visibly Fit podcast. I'm your host, Wendie Pett. It is so good to be here with you today. I am grateful. Yes, I am. Yes, this is the month of gratitude. If you're listening live time, this is the month of November. And we tend to focus more on Thanksgiving and what we're grateful for. And it really needs to be this way each and every day and each and every month. But we really tend to just kind of hone in on gratitudes during this month. And so what are you grateful for? It's amazing how our mindset and our physical well-being, everything can just shift so quickly once we start dropping those gratitudes. And instead of focusing on what we're, not happy about, the more we focus on what we're grateful for, it will light up our brain. It will release those positive endorphins, and it will be a healthier alternative for us. But I wanted to read something to you. It's a Proverb 28:27. And it says, whoever gives to the poor will lack nothing, but those who close their eyes to poverty will be cursed. And so as we are in this gratitude month, it's better to give than to receive. And then we go into, December, which is Christmas time, and we give a lot during that time, don't we? But it's just so good to remember that when we give, it's so much better, and we will be blessed because of it. And so my husband and I, we actually just returned from a very transformative missions trip to Pakistan. Yeah, Pakistan. And we had the privilege of working to help free families that are enslaved to the brick kilns. Have you ever thought about that? I had not. Now, this is the same kind of slavery that existed way back when the Israelites were enslaved to Egypt making bricks for 400 years. That's right. This still exists today. It's mind-blowing. And this experience has truly changed my life in ways I never thought imagined. And I've been on a lot of missions trips before, but none of them compared to this one. We found out that in Pakistan, there are 22,000 brick kilns. And in India, which, is right next door, has over 100,000 brick kilns. Millions of people are enslaved today. It's crazy. Mainly because people might have a need for to borrow some money, and the brick kiln owner has quite a bit of money, and so it's pretty common that people would go and ask the brick kiln owner for a loan, and he's like, "Sure, of course," and you can just work it off, kind of a thing. Well, the reality is that you can't work it off. And I actually only heard one story of one person that had worked off their debt. And so these debts are very small, from maybe $500 to $1,000. Um, and typically it's for, maybe a surgery that maybe their child needed, and they just didn't have the cash, and they needed, out of desperation, they wanted to help their child. And so they end up going into this slavery, so that they can, help their child, or whatever the situation is that they needed this money. So basically, the family moves into the brick kiln area, and it's just the realities of those faced by those that are trapped in this cycle of debt and forced labor. It's heart wrenching. I can't begin to tell you. They're like in these mud huts. I mean, we've all seen kind of this stuff before on TV, and if you've been on mission trips before, but it's bare bones. Like, it's tough. And so these people come here willingly because of a debt that needs to be paid off. But unfortunately, they're not paid very much each month, like maybe $115 a month on average. And some brick kiln owners have them pay rent of, say, $100. So maybe they get paid $115 a month. Yeah, that's right, $115. And they have to make on average about 1,000 to 1,500 bricks by hand a day. It's crazy, y'all. It's nuts. And so they're spending hours and hours in the scorching heat, and just hoping, to make enough bricks to make ends meet. But anyway, they can never pay off this debt, and they are just trapped. Quite frankly, they are trapped. And, they've got like $15 to spend on food and that kind of thing to feed their family. Well, that's not enough. So they usually end up going and asking for more money. Anyway, it just is this horrible cycle. And it's a lot of these people have been in these brick kilns for multiple generations. In fact, there was one family that experienced freedom that we got to meet, and they're just amazing family. But they experienced freedom after being enslaved. Get this. Are you ready? 115 years. Yeah, you heard that correctly. I mean, can you even imagine? This man that we freed was 50 years old, and he was born in the brick kilns. And his dad, he came to the brick kilns when he was 20 years old, and he was enslaved there in that brick kiln, or multiple brick kilns. I think they kind of move around sometimes, but until the age of 84, where he died there. And so, the 50-year-old now has a family of his own, wife, kids. And so this cycle would have continued had their debt not been paid. And so how did we even end up here? Let me tell you, there are just divine appointments in this world, right? And when the Lord lines things up, you better pay attention. So a little over a year ago, maybe it was a year ago. Yeah, maybe a year ago. Maybe not even at this point. I don't know. It's hard for me to remember where I was yesterday sometimes. You ever get that feeling? You're like, gosh, what was I doing yesterday? Anyway, it feels like a year ago. I was speaking at a chiropractic conference, chiropractors conference, and met a gentleman by the name of Dr. Pett Sulack, and he was one of the speakers as well. And he is a chiropractor, and he's amazing. And my husband and I had the privilege of listening to him and speaking with him, and heard his heart, and heard his love for the Lord, and heard him talking about this ministry, this Matthew 10 International that he started. And so he shares the gospel with people all around the world. But he also kind of a branch of the ministry is this brick kiln slavery, where they're freeing families left and right. And we're like, what do you mean slavery? This is going on? Like, we were just baffled. And so the more we heard, in fact, if you are interested in learning more about Dr. Pett Sulack, go to my podcast, episode 119. I actually had him on the show, and that was a great show. It was Healing Mind and Body, Chiropractic Care, Stress, and Spirituality. It's a good one. Go check it out. Episode 119. Anyway, again, divine appointments. That's all I can say. And my husband and I had a conversation with him. We were learning more. Then Dr. Pete introduced us to Holly and Preston, who really oversee this whole division. And we got to talking with them. I feel like I've known them forever. Next thing you know, we're on a trip to Pakistan. It's crazy, y'all. I did not have this in my calendar this year. Like it wasn't in the books, but God had it in the books. And so it was just an incredible experience. And so I'm going to share the link in my show notes about this ministry because you can help us make a difference, because we're breaking the cycle. It's amazing. I said that millions are enslaved, so we're just making a dent. But man, we got to see over 100 families freed. That was almost like 700 people free from brickyard slavery. And so it was so cool. So the way it works is you pay their debt, right? And that also pays the check that we write out to the brick kiln owner, pays off their debt. But then in addition to that, it buys them like a rickshaw so they can start their own business, like a little taxi cab driver, so to speak. And oh my gosh, I wish them all the best of luck driving in Pakistan. I don't know if you've ever been to India or Pakistan, but oh my goodness, there are no rules on the road. It's a little scary, but hey, they know what they're doing. They can do it. So anyway, so they start their own business. They're so excited for that, just that independence. But it also gets them freed from living in the brick kiln. So it gets them a home, gets them set up with some food and clothes and community. There's a church there that we got to meet and spend a lot of time with the pastor and his wife, Rayhan and Rima. And anyway, it's just so amazing, the community and all it's just a holistic approach is what I'm saying. It's not like we pay off the debt and say, okay, good luck. No, they are training, they are equipping, they're making sure that they've got community. They are actually looking to do a garment factory so that the women will have some work to do, and a medical clinic for these people. But this church that I mentioned, are almost every person that is in attendance, there's over 1,000 people so far, are all freed slaves. And they are the most lovely people I've ever met in my life. And it was just an honor and a privilege to be there. But this ministry that I mentioned is partnered with a local team, and they are dedicated to advocating for the rights of those that are enslaved and providing support with action to those that are seeking freedom. So again, my husband and I were blown away at the dedication of each team member and their love for Jesus and these individual families. I mean, I've never seen people, and I don't mean just the team, I'm talking the people in the brick kilns. I've never seen people like trip over one another trying to outserve one another. It was the most beautiful experience I've ever witnessed. There was, gosh, I have so many stories. I may post a couple pictures here in this podcast as well. So if you're looking on YouTube, you can get a little glimpse of the family that we freed, and just to kind of see, I don't know, just kind of get an idea of what it's like to be in the brick kilns, and then to see the joy and the love in these people's eyes, and just hopefully get a little glimpse of the experience that we had. But we were blown away at how they just loved on us. Again, we have so many stories, but before I go to some stories, I want to read something to you. I know I'm kind of rambling, but this is all very fresh. We just got back, 2 days ago. So, and thank goodness we have not had any jet lag. It's a 10-hour difference. So I feel very, just God's grace. But here's what I wanted to read to you. Isaiah 61. It says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies. To all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for his own glory. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, repairing cities destroyed long ago. They will revive them, though they have been deserted for many generations. Foreigners will be your servants. They will feed your flocks and plow your fields, tend your vineyards. You will be called priests of the Lord, ministers of our God. You will feed on the treasures of the nations and boast in their riches. Instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Anyway, it keeps going on here. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. I will faithfully reward my people for their suffering and make an everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants will be recognized and honored among the nations. Everyone will realize that they are a people the Lord has blessed. I am overwhelmed with joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me with the clothing of salvation and draped me with a robe of righteousness. I am like a bridegroom in his wedding suit, or a bride with her jewels. The sovereign Lord will show his justice to the nations of the world. Everyone will praise him. His righteousness will be like a garden in early spring with plants springing up everywhere. Okay, I know that was a little long, but I wanted to read the whole thing because it's so powerful. And I know this is talking about Israel, but y'all, it's talking about just God's people, period. And I just think about how God sees everything and everyone. And he wants the captives set free. And so as we observed the resilience and the strength of these enslaved individuals, I was just so inspired each and every day. I mean, the two-way love that was expressed was none other than the love of Jesus. I mean, it's really hard to imagine what these precious people have endured for years and years. We just got a glimpse of it. And it was hard to witness, hard to see, because, wow, it's just, yeah, you can't imagine living in those conditions. And it's so hot and it's so polluted, y'all. The air is so polluted there, mainly from the brick kilns. Yeah, they cause a lot of pollution in the air, but also Pakistan is just pretty polluted anyway, with trash on the ground. But the air is just horrible. Like I would go home at night and blow my nose and black would come out. Yeah, seriously, that's how polluted it is. And these people are living close to that pollution, where the brick kilns are, with the smokestacks, and where they actually, are baking the bricks. So anyway, I say all that to say that I'm a changed person, because during our time in Pakistan, we just saw so much. I mean, like I said, we saw the debts being paid in full to the brick kiln owners, which allows these families to break free from this form of modern day slavery. But we humbly ate meals made by these families that we freed in the mud hut area. Like they literally, when I said that they wanted to serve, they wanted to serve. They were so full of joy. And so we sat there and we ate a meal with them. And it was so wonderful. And it was so humbling. And yeah, I don't know. It was just moving, incredibly moving to see the hope in their eyes. And we celebrated together. I mean, we actually literally celebrated. We had a full-on celebration dinner. In fact, Holly, who really heard from the Holy Spirit, her and Preston, again, run this division of the organization. She had this, I guess, epiphany that, wow, we really need to have some sort of a celebration. And so they put on a a massive, like, freedom celebration like none other. They transformed this place with a tent and chandeliers and beautiful lights and the people that are, freed from this slavery, they come in new we give them new garments to wear, and they just look all fresh and cleaned up. They're like diamonds in the rough. You know what I mean? Like they were already diamonds, but they've just been, you know, pressurized and polished. And anyway, they look so good. And it was just so excited to see them and celebrate them. But I mean, the dancing that we did and the crying that some people did. I mean, just the joy of the Lord was there. And just there's no words to put with the joy of freedom and what these people are experiencing after years and years of being enslaved. So anyway, I hope some of these pictures in this video and some of these videos give you kind of a glimpse of what we experienced. But the connection that we formed with this community, it was just so profound. I mean, we listened to their stories. I mean, thank goodness we had a translator because they don't speak the best English, at all. And so we had to, have translators, which was great. But we shared laughter, we hugged, we prayed, offered support. And we just realized that we are all connected by our shared humanity. And honestly, the beauty of the Pakistani people will forever be etched in my heart. I mean, I don't know. I might cry as I'm talking about it. They're just the most precious people I've ever met in my life. We return home not with just these memories, but we just have a renewed sense of purpose. And we are determined to raise awareness and advocate for those that are still trapped in slavery. And so I just think about how, yes, we have a lot to do here in our own country. Absolutely. And I've done inner city missions work, and I've done all that. But this is like none other. I can't explain it exactly to you. Maybe you want to come on a trip with me. How about that? There's something so beautiful about looking into the eyes of these people and just seeing the love of Jesus and loving on them and seeing what freedom really looks like. And we know that freedom in Christ is the best thing ever. And so that's another thing that they experience. It's not just the physical freedom they experience freedom in Christ. And so it's this double whammy. And the prayers that erupt at these brick kilns, it's beautiful. It's just all raw and authentic. And I've never been around more loving people in all my life. In fact, there was this, they had a parade thing that took us all by surprise. Couldn't believe it. I felt like I was in a movie. There were people everywhere, all throughout the streets, and they brought us into this like horse-drawn carriage. There were about 6 of us in the carriage, and I mean, the streets are lined with people, and they're throwing rose petals on us, and there's a band, they're playing drums, and it's like it's a parade, and I feel just like I want to do this for them. You know what I mean? Like it was so humbling and so wonderful. I enjoyed it. And in my mind, I thought, wow, wow, Lord, this must be what it feels like as we enter into your presence, as we enter into the heavenlies. This is what it probably feels like. Just people that have been waiting for you to come in, and they're just loving on you and throwing rose petals. And it was just the most beautiful experience I've ever had in my life. And again, it was very humbling because I want to do that for them. And yet they were putting like, lays over our heads and just showering us with anything that they could just to say thank you. And all I wanted to do is say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come here and love on you and to be a part of of being the hands and feet of Jesus, right? That's all it is. It's so amazing. Anyway, I don't know. I can't believe I'm crying right now, but yeah, I can. Because it's so impactful. It's just it's I don't have words. Wow, I just don't have words. So I'm gonna do my best just to put some images in this YouTube video. So if you're only listening, I really want to encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and watch what I have here to show you as well. You'll see the celebration. You'll see kind of the before and afters of these families, and just the beauty of these people. They are so amazing. There was one time, there was a guy that came over, and he was very, very thin. He was very weak, and he came over to me, and he's looking at me in my eyes, and he's asking me help. And so I'm asking the translator what's going on with him. And I guess he type 1 diabetic, doesn't have any meds. He's in that community, in the brick kiln community. And I just looked at him and I thought, I just felt so helpless, right? And so one of the guys in the brick kiln, we have a doctor on staff, and I said, let's get him over to the doctor and see what we can do, see if we can get him any kind of insulin or whatever his needs are. And so he was so weak, this guy, and so just frail, that Rashid, one of the guys in the brick kiln, that was one of the guys that we freed that day, he walked over and he scooped him up and he carried him over to the doctor, which was, quite a ways away across some railroad tracks. And just to see that image of how he scooped him up and lovingly carried him over to where he needed to go, again, reminded me of how the Lord is for us, right? He scoops us up when we are weak. He scoops us up when we are in need and takes us to where we need to be to get us on the right side of the track. And I'm just, it was just an image that I can't get out of my mind. And it was just very, very beautiful. Another one was, there was like, oh gosh, I want to say, excuse me. I think it was about 13 or 14 families that we were freeing at this one brick kiln. And there's about, most families have about 4 or 5 kids on average. And so, there's about 60 or more people there. And I had a little bag. It is very hot. It was very hot, probably midday. And they're all standing around waiting kind of for this process to happen. And they're patient. They're not complaining. My goodness, they're about to be freed. But some of the women are very pregnant. There's little kids. There's older people. Like, it's hot, and they're just really enduring. But they're resilient people, I'm telling you. But anyway, I had a little bag of raisins, and I thought, oh my goodness, I would like to share these raisins with these people. I know it's not much, but at least it's something while they're waiting in the hot sun. And so I open up the bag, and the whole time I'm like, Lord, please multiply these raisins. I'm serious. It was just a little bag that I had gotten at the market. And so I went around, and every hand opened up except for one. At the very beginning, a young man, probably maybe in his 20s, maybe 19, and he wouldn't take any. And so I said, okay. So, which was fine. And so I went around and gave everyone about, 5 or 6 raisins. And I just kept saying, Lord, multiply these raisins, please. And every single person took these raisins. And then I came back to the guy who declined. And I said, wow. I said, because of your sacrifice, and because you're so giving and willing to be skipped, look what the Lord did. And I'm telling you, the bag of raisins, there was still a quarter of the bag left. And I gave them all to him. He got, like everybody else, got like 6 raisins. I gave him the rest of the bag and had this translated. And he looked at me and, he had a smile in his eyes and he got it and he appreciated it. And I just said, wow. I said, that's exactly what Jesus would have done. And anyway, then he blew me away even more. And gosh, I'm just crying as I'm sharing all this. But then he took that bag of raisins and he walked over to a woman who was over, not in our circle. She wasn't going to be freed that day. And she was over there making bricks and had like a 1-year-old that was kind of over on the side, kind of just sitting there watching her make bricks. And he gave her the raisins. And I thought, doggone it, you are something else. Like, who does that? And this is what I saw over and over and over again. These people are so giving and they're so selfless. And anyway, there's just so much to be learned. And I'm weepy because these people don't deserve to be enslaved. And so we can make a difference. You can make a difference with us. And so if you have a nudge at all on your heart, please go to the link in the show notes. You can give a little, you can give a lot. All of it will help. But here's the deal. $3,750, $3,750 frees an entire family, gives them a rickshaw, gives them a new home, gets them clothes and food, and gets them set up and in this community. That's it. I mean, I know it may sound like a lot, but it's not. People have been enslaved for 115 years, 50 years, 15 years, 25 years. This was like the norm. And so you can make a difference. So anyway, if you're moved at all, I really want to encourage you to go to the link in the show notes and let's make a difference together. And maybe you want to go on a trip with me. That'd be awesome too. All right. Well, I hope you're inspired a little bit, and maybe you're even just educated a little bit. That's fine too. I think the more we know and the more we understand what's going on, the more we can make an impact and make a difference. Again, there's 22,000 brick kilns in Pakistan. There's 100,000 in India, and there are millions being enslaved today. So we can make a difference. We really can, and set these people free and give them a life that they really do deserve to live. And so anyway, I appreciate you. Let me just kind of ramble today. I know this is a different topic, but it's fresh on my mind and fresh on my heart. And, Pakistan taught me so much. Pakistan taught me really the true meaning of resilience, hope, and just real love. And I know now that real love has no language barrier, and real love has no barrier of skin color or sex or whatever. Real love is real love. It's the love of Jesus. It's the love of Christ. And so we're called to love one another, called to love our neighbors. We love ourselves. We need to love ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't care for those, next door or even across the miles in Pakistan. So we got to take care of ourselves, and that's important too. But if you're ever in a place where you're like, you know what, I want to do something different. I want to give. My heart is open here, and I want to make a difference. And so, go to the link. Go to the link in the show notes, or send me a direct message on any of my social medias, and I'd be happy to share more with you. But anyway, I appreciate you tuning in, and I am grateful for you. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to go to Pakistan and have this time to be with God's children from around the world, and experience this with my husband. It was very special. So, I'm grateful for you, grateful that you are tuning into this podcast. And I do appreciate so much when you send me a message. How about that? Say that 5 times fast. I'm getting tongue-tied with all the emotions here. But anyway, if you are interested in learning or hearing about a certain topic, please send me a message on my to my direct messages on social media, or just an email. Send me an email at wendy@wendiepett.com, and I read all of them. So I'm very interested in what you want to hear more of, and I want to give that to you in this podcast. So be bold, share with me, and then I'll get the right people if I can't talk on that topic myself on this podcast. All right. Well, bless you. I appreciate you so much. And I look forward to, I guess, talking to you about Pakistan. Listen to me already planting the seed, expecting that you're going to jump in. Come on now. Of course I am. I am expectant that you are going to love this ministry as much as I do. So, okay, I'm rambling. That's all for now, but I will catch you same time, same place next week. All right, be blessed.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.